I don't know if I should be like happy or kind of upset by the fact that I've been doing this for so long, but this episode is actually the 4th installment of the Thanksgiving leftover hacks. I started this in 2015. Every single year, the day after Thanksgiving, I have given you guys some options for your Thanksgiving leftovers rather than just making a sandwich or heating it back up like normal. And if you want to go see all those other videos, they'll be down in the description. But what's going on, peeps, and welcome back to the channel. Now this year I have some pretty exciting and tasty looking recipes to try. We are going to be making some mashed potato donuts, which Tasty actually just uploaded a couple days ago, and from the original BuzzFeed recipe posted in 2015, the leftover Thanksgiving hand pies. Both of these look fantastic, and I also have a bit of an idea how to put my own spin on one of these recipes. So stay tuned for that. Let's get right into this. Alrighty guys, so we are going to begin with those Thanksgiving leftover hand pies slash pastries. I'm assuming there's just going to be like a savory snack version of a pumpkin pasty from Harry Potter if you are familiar. And in order to make them, grab yourself some flour and a whole lot of butter, some kosher salt, and some leftover turkey. Obviously, I filmed these videos quite a few days in advance. For obvious reasons, I don't really have leftover turkey quite yet. Some leftover mashed potatoes and stuffing, as well as some gravy and some cranberry sauce. Now the reason I picked this recipe is because it is just so darn simple looking. You can really mix and match with whatever your favorite dishes are. If you like potatoes and turkey, just put that in. If you want a little gravy and some stuffing, you can do that too. For today's purposes, I'm gonna make them all the same with all 3 of my ingredients and the 2 dipping sauces at the end. And of course, we had to make some pie crust first, and you could probably guess which pie crust recipe I used for this. Now as you can see, I thought I was being all smart by rolling it into a sugar cookie log and then cutting some slices to hopefully get some circles. I ended up just using a 3-inch ring mold anyway, just to make sure I got really perfect circles and all of them are going to come out the same size. I wanted to make a dozen of these in total, so obviously I needed 24 rounds. And you also want to roll the tops a little bit wider than the bottoms because they have a bit of a hill to crest over, so they need to be a little bit longer in diameter. I filled all my little cute pies up with my desired fillings. Do not forget your egg wash around the outsides to act as your glue, and then some more to lacquer the top and give you a nice dark golden brown glossy finish. There was definitely some variety in the way that these baked, from color to cracking to overall shapes. It is really no big deal though. I'm sure they're going to taste amazing, especially when they're dipped in our gravy and cranberry sauce. But I am going to leave those to the side for right now while I begin to work on our mashed potato donuts. Now I was a little bit disappointed when I watched through this video and saw that they only used a cup of potatoes. It's not really using up too many leftovers, and I kind of wanted it to be a savory donut. Nonetheless, we are going to follow Tasty's recipe for now, so I grabbed some flour and buttermilk, baking soda and baking powder, white sugar and mashed potatoes, vanilla extract and salt, some ground nutmeg, a couple of eggs, some cinnamon, brown sugar, and butter. Now, as with all of these videos, if you want to see the exact measurements of all the ingredients, hop on over to Tasty's video. It is down in the description. And the most intriguing part about this entire recipe is that it seemingly doesn't rise at all. The dough ball that eventually forms doesn't have to rise. The donuts don't have to proof once you cut them. So I am very curious to see how these end up coming out, because my snap reaction is that they're going to be a little bit on the dense side. Obviously, a stand mixer is going to come in super clutch here. If you have one, I highly recommend you use it. If not, you can do just like Tasty did and use a hand mixer for things like your butter and your sugar. Another part of this recipe that kind of surprised me is the fact that you actually finish this with buttermilk. Buttermilk kind of adds a super lactic, acidic flavor in a lot of foods. We're not using a ton here, so the flavor shouldn't come through all that much. I am interested to know why they elected to use buttermilk rather than just a normal whole milk here though. Once you get a nice cohesive looking dough ball that's not sticking to everything it touches, you can roll it out on a floured surface to about a ½ inch thick and begin to cut out your donuts. I actually used that same 3-inch ring mold for these, as well as a little cap that I found that is actually working perfect for the middles. Honestly, just find whatever circular items you have in your kitchen. It doesn't really matter what size these are, as long as they're all the same, so they cook at the same time. Eventually, you're going to fry your donuts in 375-degree oil for about 2 minutes on each side until you get a nice brown color like this. These actually puffed up quite a bit more than I was expecting, considering they didn't have any time to rise at all. They do have quite a bit of baking soda and baking powder in it, so that's probably why we were able to skip those steps. Regardless though, these were looking surprisingly very good coming out of our oil. So I let those drain off, I mixed up some cinnamon and sugar, and then eventually tossed all of my donuts into that mixture. We've got a nice little 2-course appetizer and dessert meal set up for us right now. I am beyond excited to try out these 2 recipes, so let's do it. The whole time I was making these, we were saying they look like some of the homemade apple cider donuts that a lot of the apple orchards make where I live. These just look straight delicious, like some Harry Potter status stuff. I'll try these first, because these are more of like an appetizer, and then we'll leave the dessert. Very flaky. I do not know how many times I've used this, but for anybody counting at home, chalk up another win for the Katy Perry cherry pie crust. This stuff never fails you. If you're in a pinch and you don't want to go buy store-bought stuff, flour and butter, that's it. I could see this taking some people off guard. Even me, it's kind of strange because you bite into something like this and expect it to be really sweet, and to just get straight savory, it is a little bit odd. Also, the flakiness is off the charts, but it is quite dry. There's nothing in there that really compensates for how much crust. That is exactly why we have these 2 though. This feels strange. Oh!
I apologize.
Once you're finally able to get a piece of this, it's very good. It's just so crumbly that it's quite difficult. Yeah, those are great. If you have some extra pie crust laying around, or you're feeling adventurous and want to make your homemade pie crust, I recommend. These, on the other hand, I am much more excited for. I weirdly kind of want to taste mashed potatoes. I know there's not a lot in there. I know the whole premise of Tasty's video is that you couldn't tell that they were in there, but like, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Wouldn't you just make it without potatoes if you didn't want it to taste like that? Why is there hair in here? They're really good. The middle is cooked well. It's got a nice crumb. The cinnamon sugar is great, obviously. And just like the video suggests, you taste no potato whatsoever. It almost just kind of feels like they wanted to come up with something to like hide some mashed potatoes in, so that you don't have to feel bad throwing them out. With that all being said, I couldn't help myself but to let my mind wander. The first time I ever saw these or heard about them, my mind jumped straight to it being just a literal ring of fried mashed potato. So, curiosity is going to kill the cat today, and I think I'm gonna try to do just that with some of the rest of the potatoes that I have. Alright, so obviously I have zero idea if this is going to work. The closest thing I've ever done to this are the potato croquettes from a few years ago, but those are just like big logs that are a lot easier to work with, I assume. Donuts might present a little bit more of a challenge. If this does end up working though, I can't even imagine how amazing it's going to be. This might just revolutionize the Thanksgiving game. Forget your mashed potatoes, you need them in donut form. The key is to form them on an ice-cold sheet tray where you don't have to move them and you could stick them directly into the freezer so they become rocks. Eventually coating them in your egg and breadcrumb mix and then frying them in the same temperature oil as before for an extra minute or 2 until that mashed potato becomes molten and your outside becomes super crispy. My mind is absolutely blown that these worked even a little bit, much less how well they have seemed to. If they taste anywhere as good as they look, I will be ecstatic. Look how perfectly sized and like browned and everything about this is. I'm kind of proud of myself, I'm not gonna lie to you. The key is to leave them in the freezer for as long as you can until they're absolutely rock solid before you put them in the fryer, or else they're just gonna crumble apart. That is damn good. The only thing I'd make it better is a little ring of cheese around the middle, like the last potato croquettes I did. When you woke up this morning, did you think you would see somebody dipping a potato donut in a cup of gravy? Yeah, if you're gonna do any one of the three, do this one, especially if you're a mashed potato fan. There's like no other better way to repurpose day-old potatoes. Actually, what would you guys rather have? A or B? I know what I would go with. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave me a big old like. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you don't already. The fact that it's already December, it's like hard for my brain to comprehend. This year went so fast. I don't have any specific holiday videos planned. Obviously, I'll try to weave in a few as the month goes on, so don't worry about that. Other than that though, have a fantastic weekend. I will see you right back here next time. Peace.
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision. We could make it out to